Today is debate night. VP debate night. The VP debate is scheduled for 9 p.m. Eastern time on CBS, and it's going to be hosted by Margaret Brennan and Norah O'Donnell, both of them from CBS. And tonight, hopefully, when JD Vance, senator from Minnesota and the vice presidential running mate for Donald Trump, takes on Tim Walz, Tampon Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota and the vice presidential running mate for Kamala Harris, we will hopefully get the answer to the age-old question:
is Tim Walz a moron?
I mean, I can probably answer that for you now, but we'll go more in depth into the questions and answers that you need.
Is Tim Walz a moron?
Yes, he is. Listen, the debate tonight is going to be very exciting for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's the last debate in this presidential cycle. There will be no more debates. Kamala Harris, she said she wanted a debate, but I think that ship has sailed, and let's be honest, she doesn't want another debate. Donald Trump, he's debated, and he'll debate, he won't debate, he'll take it, he'll leave it, he doesn't care, because Donald Trump is everywhere. Donald Trump is doing rallies. Donald Trump is doing interviews. Donald Trump is on television. He's on the internet. He's on live streams. He's on X. Donald Trump was in Valdosta, Georgia yesterday. Valdosta, Georgia. You know who else was? You know who wasn't in Valdosta, Georgia? Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, anybody from the Biden administration. Man, I'll tell you what, the White House is looking horrible. The Kamala Harris campaign is looking awful. I mean, worse than they usually look. And the media is taking notice about how Donald Trump leapt into action. In fact, I don't want to sit here and praise my state and say that my state is the best state, but my state is the best state. Florida has really taken charge in this hurricane, and there are three Florida residents who are actively involved in the hurricane relief efforts in North Carolina, and we'll get to all that here. We'll get to all that here in just a minute. Plus, I hope you're stocked up on bananas, because 75% of the bananas that are imported into this country are about to be shut down with this longshoreman strike. I didn't know that we had... I knew we got a lot of bananas, but I didn't know all the bananas came from the East Coast, from the East Coast shipping centers like New York and Charleston and Miami and, well, here in Jacksonville, Florida. But stock up on the bananas. If you've got like a pet monkey or some kind of banana bread fetish, if you're really into banana splits or you use them for your smoothies or whatnot, get ready, because the longshoremen are not going to be unloading the song is like, one hand, two hand, three hand bunch. Daylight. There ain't going to be no hands. No hands on deck. They're all striking. We'll get to that here in just a minute. Before we do anything else, though, this would be the best time in the world for you to say, I like this show so much that I'm going to subscribe. Whether you're on YouTube or Rumble, wherever you happen to be, if you're listening to our podcast, if you stumbled upon this podcast on iTunes or Spotify, or if one of your liberty-loving, freedom-defending, patriotic friends or family members urged you to listen to this show, shared this link with you and said, you know what? You're going to like this guy. You're going to like, he's a little loud. He's a little arrogant at times, but he's funny and he's informative and he's entertaining and he's right. If you got this podcast from somebody and you have not yet subscribed yourself, now's the time to subscribe. If there's a ding-a-ling, if there's a little bell, I learned this is important. Somebody the other day scolded me. I got scolded. They said, Mark Kaye, why is it that you don't tell people to hit the ding-a-ling? Why is it that you don't tell people to hit the ding-a-ling? Because the ding-a-ling is super important. Why is it that you don't tell people to hit the ding-a-ling? Because the ding-a-ling is where it's at. And if people don't hit the ding-a-ling, then they're not going to get notified that your show has begun. And a lot of people, I think about it and I go, you know what? Maybe I should tell people to hit the ding-a-ling. Maybe I should tell people this is the best way to get the information, because every time I post, every time I go live, every time something like that happens, we then get the information to you and you get it almost instantly. So that's what's going on today. Now, I want to kick off with the debate. And the first thing about the debate that's very important, the first thing about the debate that you need to know is that Tim Walz is not going to be the Tim Walz that you expect him to be. Tim Walz, the flamboyant, limp-wristed, weird guy, he's not going to be that. That's not what you're going to see. You're not going to see that Tim Walz. And here is Jason Miller to explain exactly what's going to happen today with this debate. Listen I think I have, hold on, where is it? It is right. Where is it? Is it here? Oh, no. Hold on. Wait, hold on. I got to get the clip. For some reason, the clip got destroyed. And I got it right here. All right. Technical difficulties. Here we go. Listen carefully.
So, Jason, is Tim Walz a moron?
Well, two things can be true at the same time here. Again, the Tim Walz that we see on the campaign trail as he's bouncing around and dancing and pointing to Kamala Harris and looking kind of goofy is not the Tim Walz that shows up in debates. And Casey, I will tell you, I've watched more debate footage of Tim Walz than anyone should ever be forced to do. But here's the thing. He's been in office for 2 decades. JD Vance has been in official office for 2 years, but Tim Walz has been in office for 2 decades. He's good. He was in Congress. He's in his second term as governor of the state of Minnesota. When he shows up and hits that stage, he's disciplined, he's on point, and he lies through his teeth. And that's the thing that most people who are tuning in tonight, or many of the people, I should say, will not have watched Tim Walz bouncing around on the campaign stage. What they will see is tonight they'll see Tim Walz for the first time. And he will come across with very much an aw shucks Minnesota persona. But what he's going to have an issue is how does he defend his record? How does he defend Kamala Harris's record? And to be honest, he has to defend Joe Biden's record as well.
That is an interesting take, but that is exactly what we expect tonight. We expect not the bumbling, stumbling weirdo Tim Walz. We expect the master debater, if you will. We expect the guy who knows that his political future and the political future of his running mate and really the political future of his entire party, that is all on the line. Tim Walz will walk into this debate and he will not do the jazz hands or the spirit fingers. He's not going to do the weird cheerleader stuff. He's not going to look like one of those. You know what he looks like sometimes is he looks like one of those inflatable long dudes outside the car dealership that just kind of flap around. That's how he moves. It's not going to be him tonight. Tonight, he's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy that goes out there and says, this is what the Democrat Party believes. This is Kamala Harris's agenda. This is what we're going to do and we're going to fight. And while you think he may be a moron tonight, he's not going to act that way at all.
Is Tim Walz a moron?
I mean, yes, he is, but not. It's going to be very shocking for a lot of folks who are expecting to see that. That's at least what Jason Miller from Donald Trump's campaign has to say. And again, he's been in charge of the debate prep. As he said, he's watched more debate prep than pretty much anyone. Tulsi Gabbard also came out and said a couple things about the debate. Here's what she expects.
You know, I look forward to Senator Vance speaking very truthfully and clearly about the contrast between President Trump's record and Kamala Harris's record. Both of them, we are in a unique position where they both have a record of 4 years in the White House, different positions, but 4 years in the White House that the American people need to know about. And quite frankly, that Vice President Harris and her campaign and many of her friends in the media are trying to hide. They're running away from that record. And Tim Walz is going to have a very hard time, I think, defending it, and will do his best to try to distract away from that. The question that Kamala Harris failed to answer in her debate with President Trump was the very first question, which is, I think, the one that's on the minds of American people is, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? And on every account, from domestic policy, border security, economy and cost of living, crime in our streets, to foreign policy, the fact that President Trump started no new wars, and today we're embroiled in multiple wars around the world and closer to World War III and nuclear war than ever before. I look forward to JD Vance drawing that contrast and reminding the American people and showing them the truth about the contrast and the choice, the clear choice that they have in this election.
Okay, there you go. So what you got going on is you got Tulsi Gabbard, and I played that clip because I know a lot of people are big fans of Tulsi Gabbard. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I love Tulsi Gabbard. So whenever I can, I play clips of her for you guys. That's what I do. That's what I do for you. But she's also a Donald Trump campaign surrogate, and she's been helping with a lot of the debate prep, not just for Donald Trump, but also for JD Vance. So anyway, so here's what we got going on. We got this debate, and we are ready, willing, and able to see what's happening. Now, yesterday I asked the question about fact checking, and will there be people fact checking JD Vance just like they did Donald Trump? I know David Muir isn't going to be there, but are the CBS moderators going to pull a David Muir? Are they going to be doing to JD Vance what they did to Donald Trump? Are they going to be ignoring the lies that Tim Walz tells and instead just concentrating on the Republican candidate? Well, apparently not. Apparently not, because there will be on no fact checking. And some of Kamala's biggest supporters ain't happy about it.
So what was your personal reaction when you heard that CBS News is forbidding the moderators of tomorrow night's debate from doing any fact checking?
Well, look, unfortunately, CBS is in a tough spot because if they allowed that, it would mean that their moderators were fact-checking all night, given JD Vance and the lies that he is going to spew on stage. But what I will say is that it's unfortunate that we have to have conversations like this because of the type of lying and discord that Donald Trump and JD Vance bring to our political system. But I think that Governor Walz is going to be prepared not only to hold JD Vance accountable for the lies that he continues to spew while he is doubling down on Donald Trump's divisive agenda, he is also going to be prepared to talk about his vision for this country alongside Vice President Harris to usher in a new way forward that all Americans can not just get by, but to get ahead. And so Governor Walz will be ready.
Okay, so there you go. There will be no fact checking. Now, this is a double-edged sword because they always say that. They promise there's not going to be fact checking. They said that during the last debate. Donald Trump, his campaign told ABC we'll do the debate on multiple conditions, but one of the big conditions was that there be no live fact checking, that they not correct Donald Trump live during the debate, and that any and all fact checking and any all commentary about what Donald Trump said or what Donald Trump was explaining during the debate should be held until the end. And then afterward, of course, they're going to have hours upon hours upon hours of people discussing what was going on. They're going to have all the talking heads breaking through and cutting through all of the words that were said by either candidate. And Donald Trump said, no, that's not going to happen. You have to do it afterward. Well, they did it anyway. David Muir said, you know what? I'm just going to screw that. I'm just going to do it anyway. So we'll see if Norah O'Donnell and Margaret Brennan do the same thing, or if they are going to adhere to the rules and not fact check live. We will be live. I'm going to go live at 8:30 tonight. 8:30 tonight, we'll do a live stream on all of our platforms, and you can come in and you can watch the debate with us. We'll have the debate on the big screen. I'll be in the corner. I'll be commenting if there's anything I hear that I believe is inaccurate. If there's anything I hear that is maybe not on the up and up. If there's anything I hear that's just a flat out load of BS, I'll be sure to tell you as that happens live, and we'll be commenting as well. So if you're looking for a fun and exciting place to join for the debate tonight, right here, Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. It's going to be a special debate night. Special. So that's we'll see. I think JD Vance is in a really good position, by the way. JD Vance has gotten a lot of practice. What JD Vance has been doing, and this is really interesting, is he's been on the Sunday shows every single week. And it's a direct contrast to what you've seen, or really, I guess, what you haven't seen from Tim Walz. Tim Walz has been hiding. He's been playing the Kamala Harris game. The entire campaign takes their candidates, doesn't give the press access, doesn't give the people access, says, look, here's the deal. These are the people that we want to run the country, but we don't want you to know anything about them. We don't want you to know what their platforms are. We don't want you to know what they think. We don't know what they want you to we don't want you to know what they're going to say or they're going to do. They don't really have an agenda, but if they did, we wouldn't want you to hear about it from them anyway, because they'd probably say something silly. So they've hidden Tim Walz. JD Vance has taken the opposite approach, and he has been on like every single Sunday show every single Sunday. I mean, he's everywhere. Every time I turn on the TV Sunday morning, all I see is JD Vance. I see clips of him on the internet. I hear JD Vance going to rallies. I hear JD Vance talking to people. I hear JD Vance telling it like it is, telling people what's up. And as a result, not only has he formulated great explanations of the Donald Trump JD Vance 2024 agenda, what they plan to do, what they want to do, what they're going to do in the next 4 years. Not only has he gotten his thoughts together and been able to articulate it over and over and over again, but he's also gotten some great debate prep in, because he's been pelted with questions from CNN. He's been pelted with questions from MSNBC and NBC. He's been pelted with questions from damn near everybody. And he's been able to come up with those answers quickly. He's been able to pivot. He's been able to do what he's going to have to do tonight. And Tim Walz has not. So it's going to be a really interesting debate, and I think a lot of fun. And I think in some ways you're going to probably hear, because JD Vance, this is the other great thing about JD Vance. when Donald Trump is debating, or when he was debating Kamala Harris and David Muir, what he did was he had to spend most of his time defending himself. And he had to explain yet again all of the lies that they tell about the convictions, about the Charlottesville, about all this other stuff. And so Donald Trump, when you attack him, he attacks back. He fights back. JD Vance won't be doing that. JD Vance, if he's attacked or if somebody says something that's inaccurate or just a bold-faced lie, he'll mention it, but he's going to go right into the substance because he doesn't have the 10 years of baggage that Donald Trump does, because he doesn't have the 2 bogus impeachments and the 91 bogus indictments and the 34 bogus convictions, because he doesn't have any of that. He doesn't have the E. Jean Carroll cat named vagina stuff. He doesn't have any of that in his background. It's going to be really, he's starting with a clean slate, and he'll be able to focus on the border, immigration, the economy. He'll be able to focus on the Ukraine, the amount of money we're wasting there. He'll be able to focus on Israel and what's about to happen with World War III. He'll be able to focus on education. He'll be able to focus on everything that we need to focus on when making the play or making the decision who to vote for President of the United States. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to tonight. All right, so the debate is at 9 o'clock. We'll be live at 8:30 p.m. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so that if you forget or if you're running around or if the kids are screaming at you, you'll get a notification. You can be like, oh, right. You just hit the button and we'll be going on. We'll be going on live. There's a lot of other stuff going on with this hurricane, though, by the way, and we talked at length about the hurricane yesterday. Hurricane Helene came in through Florida. It devastated the Gulf Coast, as hurricanes tend to do. It went up through Georgia, devastated Valdosta. We saw yesterday with Donald Trump how Valdosta was just totally underwater. And then it pummeled its way through South Carolina and North Carolina. And even today, the death toll continues to rise as the water recedes. And this is really the scary part. This is really the scary, just horrific part is when the floodwaters are high, it's almost, all you're worried about is survival, and all you're worried about is getting away from the floodwaters, and everything is kind of masked. The devastation, the death toll, the horror, the real, like, just, it's just horrific. All of that is covered in water and mud. And then when the water starts to recede, that's when you really start to see, oh my gosh, it's worse than we thought. All the damage, all the cars, all the restaurants and the houses that are destroyed, all the dead animals and livestock, and unfortunately, yes, the human loss of life, which as the water recedes, we're now seeing more and more of these bodies stack up, and this death toll is rising really quickly. Well, here in Florida, we've got a bunch of dudes who are, and again, keep in mind, Florida was hit by the same hurricane first. Florida was hit, and there are towns in Florida that are flooded. There are buildings that are destroyed. There are people that are displaced. There are jobs that were lost. All of that is happening. But in Florida, we were able, because we have a fantastic governor and a great infrastructure and a lot of experience with this kind of thing, to really kind of buckle down, stop the bleeding. And now Governor Ron DeSantis of the state of Florida, which also had devastation from this hurricane, is sending Florida assets to North Carolina, to Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, to try and help in the rescue operations. Listen to this.
Florida, we have it handled. We got approved for the individual citizens, things we've wanted. We have what we need. Now, obviously, there may be additional things that we'll ask for in the future. It depends on how things shake out. But I think most of the effort should be in Western North Carolina right now, because you still have active rescues that need to take place.
Let's prioritize, Ron DeSantis says. Ron DeSantis is saying we got to prioritize. Look, Florida, yeah, we got hit, but we're doing okay. We're fine. We got what we need, okay? Don't worry about us. We've got a strong governor. We've got strong citizens. We've got an infrastructure in place. We got some federal aid. We're good to go. Everything else should go to Western North Carolina. Everything else should be going to Asheville. Everything else should be going to Boone. Everything else should be going to Hendersonville. Everything else should be going to all of the places where people are still being rescued. We still don't know how many people need a helicopter to fly around and pick them up off of their rooftops. We still don't know how many people are trapped in the floodwaters, trapped in places that they can't be reached. It's still a search and rescue operation in North Carolina, and they need our help.
So when you have something like this happen, to sever the roads and the bridges and a lot of the things that happen, I mean, basically, I don't think they have any major way to even get out of a lot of those Western North Carolina places right now. That's going to require us doing the air mission. So that's why we're doing it. And I know, Kevin, we've had people sign up already. Sure. Yeah, so Kevin and his team are doing that. And, you're going to see people be brought back on our mission very, very shortly. And we're happy to do it. I mean, look, if we can bring people back from Israel by the hundreds when Hamas is raining rockets down, we should be able to get some helos into the Blue Ridge Mountains and get people out of there.
That's Ron DeSantis, former representative and military dude. You can tell when somebody's former military because they call him helos. That he rolls up his sleeve. He's like, yeah, if we can get some helos in the air and rescue. Look, you know what we did? We ran a mission to Israel, and we got some people out of Israel when Hamas was terrorizing the Jordan. We can get some folks out of the North Carolina wilderness. We'll send our helos. We'll send our Chinooks. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's got an entire, think about this. Just days before the hurricane, Ron DeSantis, governor of Florida, declared a disaster. He declared a national emergency or a state emergency. Florida was declared part of the national emergency. We've received federal emergency aid from the government because of the hurricane damage. And that was less than a week ago. And now Ron DeSantis is saying, hey, we did our thing. We're good to go here. We're going to take what we have and we're going to send them to North Carolina because that's where the people need the help.
Just looking at everything that I've seen in the information, I think that is where they need to make sure everybody is brought to safety. I mean, as bad as it is to see a restaurant hammered or see homes, you don't want loss of life. That is the one thing we can't rectify. We can always rectify property. We can rectify infrastructure. You can't rectify the loss of life. And, my fear is just having those areas cut off. It's a very difficult mission. So we're in the mission. We're in the fight. We're going to be bringing people back to safety, and we'll keep doing that as long as it's necessary.
We're in the mission. We're in the fight. This is a guy who is going to give whoever the Republican nominee for president in 4 years is a run for their money. Ron DeSantis, unfortunately, got some bad advice. He got some bad advice, and he was told to go run against Donald Trump, and it didn't work out for him. Ron DeSantis came back to Florida and immediately jumped back into the role that he should be in at this time, and that is governor of Florida. He's been one of the best governors of Florida we've ever had. And when we have an emergency like this, we see that not only can Floridians count on Ron DeSantis, but so can people all around the country. It's the same thing we discussed yesterday with his COVID relief, the monoclonal antibodies that he was able to procure and distribute here in the state of Florida that became a national thing. And now he's helping fellow Americans in North Carolina with Florida assets as he did when people were stuck in Israel. This is a guy that's showing on a state level, not just a state level, but one of the largest, most populous, and most economically wealthy and powerful states we have, that he can be a true leader. And this leadership is not going to be forgotten. Hopefully his horrible run for the presidency will be. But in 2028, Ron DeSantis is going to be very much in the political fight. And whether it's JD Vance, Vivek Ramaswamy, whoever else pops there, Nikki Haley could probably rear her head back up. Whatever. I don't know who's going to be. Look, it's a long time. It's a long time from now. But don't count Ron DeSantis out because he is in it to win it. He's in the fight. He's helping people. He's helping Floridians, and he's showing that he can handle a crisis. Corey Mills, Representative Corey Mills from Florida's 7th congressional district. Also, get this. Corey Mills is an elected representative in Congress. He's taking time. I mean, they're off. They adjourned last Friday till really the almost the end of the year. And so he's taking some time out of his busy schedule to go and rescue people in helicopters because he too is former military.
Hey guys, Congressman Corey Mills, Florida 7th District, just got harnessed up. Teams doing last minute checks on hoist operations. You'll see we got the basket and everything. We're starting to just look and work on those. We've got 5 different locations that we're looking at today. One location has 5 elderly. A couple of others have an 8-year-old and a mother. So we're going to try and see in some of those areas whether it be Burnsville, whether it be out in Poplar area, or higher up on the mountain. What we're going to be looking at is areas that are harder to get to that we can utilize hoist operations if they don't have 100 by 100 clearance. See if we can get in there, do a welfare check, see if we can drop some supplies, or in some cases, get them to Memorial Hospital or to a closer facility so they can get the necessary medical care that they may need. So today we're going to focus mostly on search and rescue, hoist operations, and we'll give you an update later on in the day.
All right, so you got representatives of Congress from the state of Florida going up in helicopters. You got the governor sending helicopters, and you have private citizen and resident of Florida, Donald J. Trump, showing up in Valdosta, Georgia, with truckfuls of water, truckfuls of gasoline, with the necessary supplies, with Franklin Graham, and he is there because no one else is.
The people on the ground are doing the best they can in every challenging circumstances. We do need some help from the federal government. They have to get together, ideally with the governor. The governor needs to, he's been trying to get them, and I'm sure they're going to come through. But he's been calling the president, hasn't been able to get him. But they'll come through, I'm sure. And Georgia and North Carolina need the help probably worst of all, but North Carolina has really been hit. They have really been hit. They say nobody's seen anything like that at all. Every part of these communities has been affected by this brutal storm, and countless Georgia cotton and pecan farmers. The farmers have been affected, Kelly, very, very badly, very, very badly. And I love those farmers, and we're going to take care of the farmers. There's no question about it.
Yeah, no one else is. The farmer, I mean, think about it. When your livelihood is the land and the land is underwater, that's it. You can't, there's no job to go back to. The water's going to, your crop is ruined. It's going to be done. And you've got maybe next year you can replant, but maybe not. It all depends on what happens with the water. It depends on what happens with the land. It depends on whether or not you can get financing, because you've lost an entire year's worth of work. That's the thing about farming. It's one crop. It's a year's worth of work, and it's all washed away. And you've lost all that income for 365 days and potentially even more. Donald Trump is there. Donald Trump is saying, we need federal help. These people need federal help. And they're not getting it.
The path to full and complete recovery, we will work very hard. It won't be easy, because this one is so bad, but we know in our hearts, God is with us. God is strongly with us, and that the American people are stronger than any challenge that stands in our way. We have a lot of challenges in this country, more than we should have, frankly.
Yeah, that's a dig, by the way. That's a dig on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, who he mentioned, by the way. Look, there is an election going on. And a lot of folks today are saying Donald Trump is taking advantage of these people. Donald Trump is out there campaigning at a crisis center. Donald Trump is using this deadly, devastating Hurricane Helene. He's using it as an opportunity to campaign for president. He's in the way. He went to Valdosta, Georgia, and he's in the way. And those people don't want him there. Those people want their lives back. Those people want their houses back. They want to get back to some semblance of life. They don't need Donald. Donald Trump is just a distraction, and he's doing it for his own personal political gain. These are the people in Valdosta, Georgia yesterday. They seem pretty okay with the president being there. I'm going to be honest with you. Those look and sound like happy people. They don't seem like they're like, get out of here, Donald Trump, go away. Trump. They're chanting Trump. I don't know about you, but if I were living in a flooded area like that, I would want anybody to show up with a tanker full of gasoline. I would want anyone to show up with some food and some water. I would want anyone to show up and say, we're bringing Franklin Graham and Samaritan's Purse, and we're raising money, millions of dollars raised in just 24 hours since Donald Trump has descended on the area. I would want somebody to put a national spotlight on the crisis that's going on here. I would want that. And apparently that's what these people want as well, because, well, once again, they're very excited to see President Trump ride in with all of these supplies for their devastated neighborhood. And again, look, I'm not saying that they would be chanting for Kamala if she showed up. I'm not saying that they'd be chanting for Joe Biden if he showed up, but we'll never know because Kamala Harris didn't show up and Joe Biden didn't show up. And Donald Trump walked away from his campaign stop, walked away from the election to show up.
As you know, our country is in the final weeks of a hard-fought national election. But in a time like this, when a crisis hits, when our fellow citizens cry out in need, none of that matters. We're not talking about politics now. We have to all get together and get this solved. We need a lot of help. They have to have a lot of help down here. We look out for one another. We pull together. We pitch in. We persevere, and we pull it through. That is really the American spirit. That's what made America originally great.
Yeah, and we're going to make America great again. Look, the fact of the matter is he's saying to Kamala Harris, he's saying to Joe Biden, in a time like this, we all need to stop what we're doing and pull together and come to the aid of American citizens. And Kamala Harris was in Nevada. She was in Los Angeles. She was out west and she was campaigning and she didn't stop her campaign. And she didn't get on a plane and she didn't fly to Valdosta, Georgia or North Carolina. She didn't arrange for aid to be brought to these people the way Donald Trump did. Donald Trump brought water. Donald Trump brought gasoline. You know who else is helping? Logan Paul sent a whole bunch of that energy drink, like a whole platform bed full of energy. What's it called? Prime? I don't know. I mean, I guess that's better than nothing. But there's pallets and pallets of Prime energy drink in North Carolina right now where you can't even get actual food there. But Logan Paul managed to send Prime to those people. So they're going to have lots of energy. They may not have internet service. They may not have Wi-Fi. They may not have any place to go, but they're going to have lots of energy thanks to Logan Paul. And while the ladies on The View, and I use that term loosely, are complaining about Donald Trump, and while detractors on X are exposing Donald Trump or accusing Donald Trump of interfering with an election, he's actually getting a lot of props from unlikely places like CNN. And I will play that for you here in just a minute. But I want to share with you some really exciting information. Yesterday, we launched our brand new book, Cancel Proof, My Proven Social Media Strategy for Conservatives to Thrive Online. And it has been going, it's been stellar so far. So many people have gotten a copy. They've downloaded the ebook. There's also an audiobook because, you know, a lot of people, I don't know what it is. They like the sound of my voice. But they always say, Mark, I love your books. Could you just record one for me so I could listen to it? And what I've done is I bundled the two together. So you don't have to choose the ebook or the audiobook, or you don't have to buy the ebook and then for an additional charge you can get the audiobook. No, it's all in one package. We bundled it together. And right now, if you go to markkay.com/cancel, you'll get the ebook, you'll get the audiobook, and you'll get it all for just $24. And this has been so popular in the last 24 hours, maybe because conservatives are still getting canceled, maybe because we see what happens to folks like, well, me and Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, who just got demonetized from YouTube. She had to go away for like a week. And then she came back. It's happening all the time. On Instagram this morning, I just saw people saying, I woke up and I had 10, 20,000 fewer Instagram followers. Do you know how difficult it is to make a living and build a business and promote yourself and your stuff when they're canceling you and doxing you and shadow banning you? It's very difficult. I've experienced all of it myself. I've been demonetized. I've been demonized. I've been shut down. I've been squandered. I've been shadow banned. I've been fired. I've been all of those things. And every time it happened, I figured there were two things I could do. One is cry. Two is get up and figure out a way around it. And while I was tempted to do one, I always did two. And now I've written down everything I've learned over the last 10 years of being canceled in my brand new book, Cancel Proof. Cancel Proof. And again, it's look, here's Victoria says, Cancel Proof is the ultimate guide to dodging social media drama. Mark's book is as useful as it is entertaining. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate that. And it's three simple steps that you go through. The book has some really entertaining personal stories about things that have happened to me, how I grew my business as a result, and how I bounced back bigger, better. Like the fact that I'm here right now talking to you. I mean, when our radio show was canceled, there were, that was a big loss. That was a big loss of audience. It was a big loss of platform, big loss of money. And I had to buckle down and I had to quickly figure out what was going to be next. And now we're back. We're on Rumble. We're on YouTube. We're on X. We're everywhere. And we're doing great. And every single day we have more and more people watching. We have more and more people subscribing. We have more and more people helping us out and supporting the cause. And that's something that we're going to continue to do every single day. If you want to learn how I did it, if you want to learn how you can do it, and if you want to learn how to protect yourself from the cancel happy woke folk that are coming for every conservative. If you're a conservative, and I know you are because you're watching me, if you're conservative and you're online, which I also know you are because that's the only place you're going to find me, then you need this book, you need these tactics, and you need to learn how to protect yourself, your finances, your future, your reputation, because there are people out there that hate you simply because you're conservative. You get instant access. You get the ebook and the audiobook. Go to markk.com/cancel. markk.com/cancel. There is a link in the description of this video if you're watching the video. If you're listening to the podcast, markkaye.com/cancel. So Donald Trump is so presidential. Donald Trump is so helpful. Donald Trump is so patriotic that even CNN can't help but praise him for his efforts in Valdosta, Georgia yesterday and describe in an accurate and fair way. Again, I was totally... This is the weirdest election cycle ever. I never thought I would turn on CNN and hear them not complaining about Donald Trump taking emergency supplies to people who are in a hurricane-ravaged area. Listen to this.
He is being treated not just as a former president, but almost as though he is a sitting president. As Boris, you just noted, getting a briefing from FEMA, getting a briefing from the National Guard. That is not something that is typically just offered to a candidate. They are treating him as though he is a former president who is there to help. And one thing that I had noticed earlier during our 1 p.m. conversation was that Donald Trump did not have that much to offer in terms of resources since he is not a sitting president. But I will note that he and the campaign say that they have arrived in that area with trucks full of supplies that they plan on giving out. So there is something there for them to offer. He also said that he had a tanker truck full of gasoline, which obviously if you've ever covered one of these storms, you understand that one of the first things and hardest things to come by is gasoline. So he said that he was going to be giving that out. He is clearly taking this seriously as a politician is on the ground trying to show that he is there in support of the people on the ground in Georgia.
Imagine what Donald Trump could accomplish if he were in the White House right now. Imagine CNN's out there saying he's acting like a president. People are treating him like a president. He's getting FEMA briefings, which is not something presidential candidates usually get. Sure, they get national security briefings. Yes, they get Secret Service protection, but do they get FEMA briefings? Donald Trump everybody believes this guy's president. He's out there as our acting president because our president isn't acting like a president at all. We have a president, an unelected president in Donald Trump who's doing the job of the federal government. Imagine if private citizen, if Florida man Donald Trump can roll into Valdosta, Georgia with truckfuls of supplies and gasoline and a press conference and organize Franklin Graham and Samaritan's Purse and raise millions and millions of dollars in 24 hours. If Donald Trump, candidate for president, private citizen could do that, just imagine how much greater this disaster relief effort and this rescue operation would be going if Donald Trump had the full power, force, and purse of the federal government. If he had all the money, if he had all the assets, if he had all the military resources, if he had FEMA at his beck and call, imagine how much better off life would be for the people in Georgia and North Carolina and Tennessee right now. Imagine how much better off all of us would be when there was a natural disaster or a crisis or a potential war, which is brewing right now in the Middle East. Imagine how safe our border would be. Donald Trump can get gas and food and supplies and national coverage of an event in Valdosta, Georgia, without holding any elected office whatsoever. Imagine what he could do if he were back in control of this country. And that is something that Jeanine Pirro from Fox News is excited about.
This is what leaders do. And in the end, this is what Trump has done. Trump was there first. He endears this sense of confidence. He's going to fight for us. And we've seen this is a pattern of behavior by Biden and by Harris, where whether it's Maui where they give $700 to each resident, but if it's Ukraine, they're on the ground with another $10 billion, whatever they need. East Palestine, who's there? Donald Trump with pizza and water. They show up a year later. This is about leadership. It's not about being embarrassed into having to show up somewhere. And, congratulations, you went to FEMA. You've got to go to the people. You've got to go to the people who can't see this. Because I've been in a flood. We lost our house in a flood. We thought there was no future. We didn't have insurance. We lost everything. You rely on the Red Cross for food, the Army Corps of Engineers to make sure that you can drive and that you can go across the bridge. I mean, there's so much more than going to FEMA and making a political statement.
Jessica.
Yeah, she's talking about Kamala Harris, which we'll get to here in just a minute. But think about that. Listen to what Jeanine Pirro's saying. It's not just the first time the Democrats have failed to show up when Americans need them. This is not just the first time Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have slept on a national emergency. East Palestine, Maui, the wildfires in Hawaii. This is not the first time that you have seen the Democrats sit back and just let Americans suffer. This is not the first time you've seen the Democrats sit back and let a natural disaster destroy the lives of American citizens while they ignore it, or they pretend like they're doing something about it. They hold a press conference maybe, or they pose for photos at the FEMA, or they get on a conference call. It is ridiculous. Kamala Harris has not spoken out about this at all, has not organized any resources at all. She showed up at the FEMA office. She wouldn't take questions from the press. This is her sitting at the table. They haphazardly put this together at FEMA so she could look like she's doing something. She's not talking. She's not even fake note writing like she does. And then when the press comes in, they're like, "Excuse me, you need to leave now because this is a photo op. You got your photos. Now you need to get on out of there." Even Jasmine Crockett, Representative Jasmine Crockett, who is one of the most obnoxious, one of the most angry, one of the most just ridiculously annoying representatives we have in Congress. This woman doesn't know anything at all about politics except that Republicans are bad. That's her whole thing. Her whole thing in life is Republicans bad, Democrats good. And she goes into Congress every single day looking for Republicans that she can spew her vile hatred and her filth at. Well, even she was on, I think it was MSNBC, and had to beg Kamala Harris basically to get off her booty and go help these folks in North Carolina.
But if you're a desperate person hurting, someone with a pail or a rowboat or a bottle of water is a really welcome sight. How do you balance those things?
Yeah, I think it is really tough. And I think it is important that she explain why she's not there.
Oh, yeah, you think? It's important why she explained why she's not there? What if she just went there? Here's the thing. You know who doesn't have to explain why they're not there? Donald Trump. Why? He's there. He went there. He's getting things together. He's helping out. If you do the thing, you don't have to explain why you're not doing the thing. Do the thing. We don't want explanations from Kamala Harris. We don't want explanations from Joe Biden. We're not, because we can't get them. And when we do get them, think about this. If Kamala Harris were going to take Jasmine Crockett's advice, if she was going to come forward and say, "Let me explain why I'm not on the ground in Valdosta, Georgia, like Donald Trump," if she were going to say that, she would lie. And we know that because Joe Biden lies about why he's not doing his job either.
Mr. President and Governor Cooper, Donald Trump has accused both of you of ignoring the disaster.
He is lying. Let me get this straight. He's lying. And the governor told him he was lying. The governor told me he was lying. I've spoken to the governor, spent time with him, and he told me he's lying. I don't know why he does this. And the reason I get so angry about it, I don't care about what he says about me, but I care what he communicates to the people that are in need. He implies that we're not doing everything possible. We are. And you spoke to the governor. I assume you heard the Republican governor of Georgia talk about that he was on the phone with me more than once. So that's simply not true, and it's irresponsible.
It's simply not true and irresponsible. Joe Biden says we're doing everything possible. We're doing everything possible, which is weird because just yesterday he said there's really nothing else we can do.
We've given them all everything that we have. We're on the ground ahead of time. So we're working hard.
Are there any more resources the federal government could be giving them?
No, we've given them, we have pre-planned a significant amount of it, even though they didn't ask for it yet. Hadn't asked for it yet.
What is Joe Biden doing in this? Let me ask you this. Let me pause this real quick. What is Joe Biden doing here? Yesterday he says, well, we gave him everything we had. There's nothing else we can. Are there any more resources? No, there's nothing else we can do. We gave him everything we had. So that's it. So what's he doing in this office on this conference call with Governor Roy Cooper? What are they doing? All the resources, is he just explaining once again how there's no more help coming? There's no more, you know who you should call? Why don't you guys call Ron DeSantis down in Florida? Because Ron DeSantis, he's more than happy to send Chinook helicopters and Representative Corey Mills. It's all Florida coming to the rescue of North Carolina. Joe Biden sitting there on a conference call with a guy from North Carolina, I guess who he's explaining to, hey, we don't have any more resources for you. And he says Donald Trump. He says Donald Trump is the liar. It is so baffling to me how difficult the Democrat Party finds it to just do the job. If you did the job, you wouldn't be in this pickle. You wouldn't be in this situation. If you did the job on the border, instead of undoing all the work that Donald Trump did, if you just said, hey, we're in office now, we're looking at the border, and, Donald Trump, he did okay. All right, we're just going to leave it alone, and maybe we'll come up with some other things for ourselves that are going to help with the border because we know it's important to keep Americans safe. If they just did that, they'd be in a much better position right now. They may not be losing the Latino vote to Donald Trump. If they went in and said, you know what, prices are sky high, we're going to really get that under control. We're going to get that. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to cut interest rates. You know what we're going to do? We're going to talk to all of these countries that are taking advantage of us. We're going to drill for oil so that we don't have to outsource our oil production and distribution to countries that hate us and despise us and who, fun fact, we're about to go to war with in the Middle East. We're going to drill for our own resources, take care of our own people, and with whatever money we have left over, any oil we have left over, we'll sell that. We'll be a net exporter. We'll have even more money coming in. We'll be one of the richest nations again. And we won't have to tap into our strategic oil reserve over and over and over again just to lower the price of gas a couple of pennies around election time. We'll just take care of business. If they were strong on crime, instead of allowing criminals out of prisons, instead of getting, cashless bail passed in all these different jurisdictions, if they went into these blue states and blue cities and said, you guys are idiots, stop doing what you're doing. You're making Americans less safe and it's adversely affecting our party. If they didn't pay for children and illegal immigrants to have these weird operations, if they didn't put tampon machines in men's locker rooms or boys' bathrooms in schools, if they didn't allow biological men to compete against biological girls in all of these sports, then maybe they would be in a better position than they are now. But they're not. They didn't want to do the job. And they don't want to do the job. They didn't want to do the job in East Palestine. They didn't want to do the job in Maui. And now they don't want to do the job in North Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee. And they're seeing that there's somebody who will do the job, and that's Donald Trump. And that's why when Donald Trump rolls into town, even a town that is underwater, destroyed, devastated, and reeling from the effects of one of the most damaging hurricanes ever, even when that happens, people react like this. Yeah, that's not at all surprising. Not at all surprising to me. Listen, there's one more crisis looming, which we should get into. Now, there's always crises. If it's a Democrat in office, there's always going to be multiple crises. And one of them is the brand new strike by the longshoremen. And a lot of people don't know what longshoremen are. They're not really understanding, it's kind of a weird term, but the longshoremen are the men and women who, when the big ships come in, the big ships come in from China, mostly from China. I guess they come from Vietnam and Indonesia and all over. But the big ships come in, they have those big, looks like, the back of an 18-wheeler, the big cargo containers. If you watched Outer Banks, in the last season, it's what the kids hid in when they went, when they went on the boat. So these ships come in, these ships come in, and they have these tankers or these big cargo units, whatever. And all of a sudden, There need to be people who unload them. And it's important that that stuff gets unloaded because a lot of it is perishable goods, from Central America, from other countries. A lot of it is food that we need. And so if it doesn't come off of the ship, it rots and it goes to waste and we're done with it. If it's clothing or cars or anything, electronics, anything else, iPhones that all come from China, it just sits on the ship because nobody is there to unload it. And what happened with the longshoremen is they didn't get a contract that they wanted from their union. So the longshoremen on the East Coast are striking. They're striking right now. There's a strike going on. These longshoremen are not working. They're on the picket line. And the leader of the union, I forget the guy's name, he released this message, which I'm going to be honest with you. This is right out of like The Sopranos. This is right out of some kind of Joe Pesci movie. Listen to this guy's explanation about the longshoremen strike and what it's going to do to the United States of America.
These people today don't know what a strike is.
Right.
When my men hit the streets from Maine to Texas, every single port will lock down. You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you. First week, be all over the news every night, boom, boom. Second week, guys who sell cars can't sell cars because the cars ain't coming in off the ships. They get laid off. Third week, malls start closing down. They can't get the goods from China. They can't sell clothes. They can't do this. Everything in the United States comes on a ship. They go out of business. Construction workers get laid off because the materials aren't coming in. The steel's not coming in. The lumber's not coming in. They lose their job. Everybody's hating the longshoremen now because now they realize how important our jobs are. Now I have the president screaming at me, I'm putting a Taft-Hartley on you. Go ahead. Taft-Hartley means I have to go back to work for 90 days. That's a cooling off period. Do you think when I go back for 90 days, those men are going to go to work on that pier? It's going to cost the companies money to pay their salaries. Well, they went from 30 moves an hour maybe to 8. They're going to be like this. Who's going to win here in the long run? You're better off sitting down and let's get a contract and let's move on with this world. And in today's world, I'll cripple you. I will cripple you, and you have no idea what that means. Nobody does.
I like the lighthearted music at the end of that. I will cripple you. Bum, 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 bum. Anyway, so look, a lot of people are angry. A lot of people are angry at the Longshoremen's Union for going on strike and basically crippling the United States.
I will cripple you.
And it hasn't happened yet, but it happens pretty quickly. As you said right there, in the first week, you start running out of food. The bananas, I told you already, this stuff is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. 75% of our bananas here in the United States of America are from other countries. So what's going to happen is people are going to start hoarding food. They're going to start hoarding the perishables. Then he said, just like you heard him, all the goods and services, the cars, the clothes, the electronics, they're not going to be filled in the mall. The malls are going to be empty. Christmas is coming up. They know why they're doing it. You got Halloween. Do you know how many Halloween decorations and how many Halloween costumes come from China? If you go to one of those Halloween Express stores, I would be hard pressed to find anything that's made in the United States of America. Whether it's your SpongeBob SquarePants costume or your inflatable Chris Christie costume, or whether it's one of those lawn ornaments that looks like a skeleton that lunges out at kids and trick-or-treaters as they go by, it's all made in China. And it's not going to be coming here, or if it does, it's not going to be getting off the ship.
I will cripple you.
And that's because of this longshoreman strike. So that's another thing that's happening here in this country that you can directly blame Joe Biden for. You can directly blame the Joe Biden economy for. It all comes down to the economy. It all comes down to how much money people make. It all comes to how much money people are allowed to keep. It all comes to how expensive things are. And if you think food's expensive now, you ain't seen nothing yet. Wait until you can't get anything off of the ships. Wait until you can't get anything off of these boats. We saw what happened when Pete Buttigieg 2 years ago before Christmas had the ports blocked up in Los Angeles and the ships couldn't get in because there was a strike. I mean, it was ridiculous. The supply chain in this country is already stressed as a result of Joe Biden and Pete Buttigieg's miscalculations and mismanagement. And now you're going to throw another strike along the East Coast. And he's right. It's Maine to Texas and every port in between. And you're talking about Boston. You're talking about New York. You're talking about Baltimore. You're talking about Savannah. You're talking about Charleston. You're talking about Jacksonville, Florida. You're talking about Miami. You're talking about Houston. Every single port from Maine all the way around to Texas. The East Coast will be crippled, as will the nation, by this strike. He's right.
I will cripple you.
And that is just another thing that Joe Biden will think about probably when he's on vacation in Rehoboth Beach. There's breaking news. Apparently, the IDF says Iran has launched missiles toward Israel. Now, we knew this was probably coming, but this is right after the ground offensive has been launched from Israel into Lebanon to attack Hezbollah. They had the pagers explode. They had the radios explode. They were going after Hezbollah with rockets. They were killing all of the leaders of Hezbollah. They're like, we're just going to end it here. Israel said enough is enough. We don't want this war going on forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to just destroy Hezbollah. We're going to take it out. It's not going to exist anymore. Well, Iran, who funds Hezbollah, not happy about that. Missiles have been launched. This, according to CNN, missiles have been launched from Iran toward Israel. According to a statement from Israel's military, early on Tuesday, the White House warned that Iran was poised to launch a ballistic missile attack on Israel soon, instantly ratcheting up fears of an all-out war in the region. In a statement released mid-morning, the White House said it had indications that Iran is preparing to imminently launch a ballistic missile attack against Israel, adding the United States was actively supporting defensive preparations to defend Israel against this attack. A direct military attack from Iran against Israel will carry severe consequences for Iran, a senior White House official said in a statement. Okay, they said it in the statement, but are they going to do it in real life? Because look, now you have Iran actively bombing or shooting missiles at our staunchest ally in the Middle East and really in the world. What is it that's going to happen? What will be the retaliation? The intelligence base in Gilot was evacuated Tuesday afternoon, the person said, and the Israeli military has put contingency plans for the safety of personnel at those bases into effect. So keep in mind, Israel knew when they went after Hezbollah this would happen, and I imagine Israel has, as they stated, some sort of preparations. But again, Iran would not have the capability to fund Hezbollah and Hamas. Iran would not have the capability to do what they did in October of last year to Israel. Iran would not have the capability to do what they're doing right now if Donald Trump were still in office. Donald Trump bankrupted Iran. He didn't outright attack them. He didn't bomb them. He just cut off their supply of money. And I don't know if you've ever been broke, but if you've been broke, it's very difficult. If you're broke, if you have no money, if you have no income, it's very, very difficult to bomb somebody. It's very difficult to fund a terrorist operation. I've never tried myself, but I hear that it's very difficult. It's not an easy thing to do. And when Iran was broke, when they were bankrupt, when we were and again, it all goes back to energy. Energy is the one thing that rules this world. And when we give money to these Middle Eastern countries, which are, they're tribalistic, they are antagonistic, they have a different mentality, they're eager to martyr themselves, they hate Americans, they hate Israel, they hate everybody. When we give them billions and billions of dollars just so that we can run our own country, just so that we can survive the way that we're supposed to survive, we're funding these operations. When we could just as easily not buy their oil, drill our own oil, not send them money, billions of dollars, keep our money here, fund our own military, and keep everybody happier and safer. And the terrorists and the militants in the Middle East would have to go somewhere else for their money, but they'd be hard pressed to get it, because the only person that really is excited to destroy and kill Israelis and Jews and Americans as much as Hamas and Hezbollah is Iran. So we're following this story very carefully. It just happened. It just broke at the end of the broadcast here. So we're going to follow that. Listen, we have tonight And this will be a question that comes up. There's going to be a question about Iran and Israel. And this is bad news for the Biden administration. It's another distraction, however, but it's bad news for the Biden administration. This will come up at the debate tonight, I'm sure. Margaret, Brennan, and Norah O'Donnell are writing questions right now. They're trying to figure out, okay, if we take out this question, we can go in and answer this question, and we can ask this question. But we'll be live no matter what happens. 8:30 tonight, I'll be live right here on whatever platform you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe. Make sure you get the notification. Hit the ding-a-ling. We want to make sure that bells are ringing when we go live at 8:30 tonight. If you're watching on Rumble, we'll make sure that we're live on Rumble, and we'll make sure that we're live right at 8:30. If you're watching on X or Facebook, we urge you to join us as well. And if you're listening to the podcast, please subscribe. Tell iTunes you want to follow us. You want to get this information every single day. Don't forget, Cancel Proof, available right now, like immediately. Like if you're like, great, what am I going to do with the rest of my afternoon? You can be reading Cancel Proof, or you can listen to me read Cancel Proof to you, because not only do you get the audiobook, not only do you get the ebook, but bundled together is the audiobook as part of our pre-launch offer. Cancel Proof, get it immediately. My proven social media strategy for conservatives to thrive online. Great stories, great lessons, great tactics on how you can use social media to your benefit, to build your business, to support yourself, to grow your following, and to spread your message, how to not get canceled and to thrive as a result. Go to markk.com/cancel. markk.com/cancel. And I really want everyone to take, again, it's a good read. Like I said, it's my signature style of writing. You're going to get some really cool stories and some funny information as well, some great information. But it's really important because as patriots, as people who are fighting for this republic, it's important that we all maintain our tools. And that means your Facebook page and your Twitter. And you've got to be able to make sure that when you're sharing stuff like this show or this podcast, that you're not getting shadow banned or doxxed or deleted or censored. We want to make sure that every single one of us isn't just strong and enthusiastic and well prepared and informed, but we want to make sure that we have the tools to spread the message far and wide, because we need to grow our movement. We need to grow the number of patriots we have. We need to grow the number of people who are fighting every single day, waking up every single day and doing whatever's necessary to save the republic.